It's Ron Reader digs the universe. I'm Ron Reader, and this is Ron Reader Digs the Universe. And tonight, the death of Rush Limbaugh. And I'm glad he's dead. Let me address this notion right away. I hit on this already back when I did my episode on Trump having COVID, but it's well worth revisiting a bit. It is morally acceptable. It is morally acceptable, desirable even, to celebrate the death of an oppressor. But I've been hearing some liberals and more than a few conservative trolls castigating other liberals who are happy about Trump getting sick or Rush Limbaugh dying. Well, I do appreciate the thought, respecting the life and dignity of all human beings, but that is not at all what this is about. People celebrating Limbaugh's death aren't really focused on how awesome it is when people die, but rather how awesome it is that his evil demagoguery is gone. And let me tell you, his demagoguery was pretty fucking evil. It is natural and good that we celebrate Rush's absence, and surely we can do that without disrespecting human life. Generally, liberal compassion isn't a straitjacket. So, keeping that in mind, let me tell you some of the reasons I'm so happy Rush is dead. Now, the press has been telling us all for the past couple of weeks exactly why it's good that he's gone, so I'm going to hit 3 ways that the fat old oxy addict racist has touched me personally over the years. When I started teaching high school theater in the late 1990s, Limbaugh had been on the scene for about a decade, recently joined by Fox News and a few other imitators like Oliver North and others. So Rush's cultural influence at that point was in full sway. As a teacher, I witnessed a rather fascinating but also very depressing phenomenon among my female teenage students. Assertive, liberated young women living out what appeared to me to be fully realized feminist lives. Okay, cool. But the vast majority of them totally rejected the word feminist as having absolutely nothing to do with them at all. And when I asked a few of them about the seeming contradiction, it became clear that the word feminist to them conjured the image brought to mind by Rush Limbaugh's attack word feminazi. You know, disagreeable, man-hating, gender-destroying, hairy-legged, Wiccan hater of all we hold dear. So that's one reason I personally hate Rush Limbaugh. He fucked up the minds of at least a generation on women's rights, making sophisticated and nuanced critiques of patriarchy severely problematic, if not impossible. I'm glad Rush Limbaugh is dead. He got into people's heads. Fuck him. Along those lines, a few years later when I was in grad school, I inadvertently offended a couple of black friends when I used the word Ebonics, casually referencing black vernacular English. A word used initially by a black scholar a few decades back when he was codifying black English as a legitimate dialect like Cajun French or Texas German. It became controversial only when the Oakland School District tried to get federal ESL money using Ebonics as a justification. Enter Rush Limbaugh, who spent years trashing the word, trashing the concept, all utterly dripping with racist contempt. I couldn't understand how my black friends at LSU were effectively taking Rush's position that Ebonics is a derisive racist word used to degrade black speech. It kind of freaked me out. I researched it. Ebonics, the word, becoming an epithet, and short of some comments in a couple of chat forums, I found absolutely nothing on the topic. As far as the internet was concerned, it never happened, but this, my friend's offense, was real. This was a real thing, and the best I was able to figure is that Limbaugh pounding away on the idea day after day, year after year, polluted mainstream culture, getting into the heads of white people and black people alike, turning a word originally intended to dignify black speech into a racist epithet. And I hate Rush Limbaugh for that. And I am so glad he is dead. Indeed, I'm so glad my father can't listen to him anymore. By the time the fat addict DJ hit the scene, my and my father's respective ideological worldviews were diverging. But I hold Rush, and then later Fox News too, of making political discussion with him totally impossible. My dad got to the point that he would plug in the earphones and listen to all 5 hours of Rush's show every day for years, like attending a marathon 12-hour Mao Zedong speech, but all the time. Ditto heads are all voluntarily brainwashed, and my dad is a ditto head. I hate Rush Limbaugh for that, and I'm glad he's dead. A guy on Facebook hassled me last week for celebrating Rush's death. I said he's got blood on his hands. He replied that Rush wasn't Pol Pot or Hitler. I replied, yeah, he is. Did you see about that 11-year-old kid who froze to death here in Harris County during the ice storm a couple weeks back? That was because of the ideas that the addict bastard pushed for years so successfully. I mean, we wouldn't have our little enormous fascist problem without Rush Limbaugh. People are dead, lots of people, because of his vile, poisonous demagoguery. We should all dance on Rush Limbaugh's grave. It's fun. I'm Ron Reeder, and this has been Ron Reeder Digs the Universe. Join me, Ron Reeder, again next week for another episode of Ron Reeder Digs the Universe. I'm dancing on his grave, yes, dancing on his grave. Rush Limbaugh is dead, ditto head, let's all do the wave.